number 1. So I play a ton of CSGO. Whilst I have met very strange people over the last 3 years, none match the level of strangeness as this one kid. I was playing casual on Dust 2, like always, when a kid, most likely 15 or 16, starts mic spamming. Instantly, he is muted by most. However, he was quite funny and very naive, as talking about every aspect of his life to me, like we had been friends forever. It was clear that he suffered from a type of autism, as pretty inaudible, and had a noticeable stutter. I listened to him, as it was funny and cringy. We talked for a good 25 minutes, and eventually he asked me where I lived. Well, that is strange. I live in Australia and have my state posted on my profile because, why not? Anyway, this kid is persistent on finding out where I live. Most likely because I was the only person who had not muted him already. After about 5 minutes of begging me, he goes quite supposedly AFK until he blurts out, "You live in..." "Me too." This was strange. Whilst it wasn't hard to find out my real name, simply looking up my online alias links to my real name and then looking it up on a phone directory, he states that he too lives there, and I was the first person he had met that lived in the same town. Whilst the town isn't big nor small, currently around 90,000 residents, it was clear this kid was completely estranged from society, as I knew numerous players. I mistakenly said yes, and left it at that, thinking nothing of it. We talked further, and he became more comfortable talking to me, to the point where he said he had sexual feelings for his older sister, and that he is depressed about school. At this point, I was completely prepared to leave. I did not like the extent to which he was opening up to me. He asked for an ad on Skype. I declined, and he eventually left. The next few days passed, and this kid had spammed me with, "Hello, are you there? Want to play?" every 2 hours or so, none of which I replied to. However, 3 days later, around 2:30 p.m, I hear a knock at the door. I assumed it was the arrival of my new monitor I bought. I answered the door to find a small, 5'9" teenager with unpleasant facial hair and greasy mop-like haircut, standing there wearing cargo shorts which covered his knees and a Batman Arkham Asylum hoodie, holding a laptop and a newest edition of Game Informer magazine and an Adventure Time rucksack slung over his shoulder. The fuck is this? It appears that this was the kid I had met online. He simply states, "Hey, is this house?" I mistakenly said yes, as I was completely dumbfounded by the current events, and had just woken up. Whoa, we live close by. This really creeped me out. This dude I met online was standing at my front door. I literally had no idea what to do, but invited him inside and show him my computer, as he demanded to see my specs. He was amazed, asking me all sorts of questions about my gaming life and equipment, throwing clear indications that he wanted to try or take them home. "How you have Astro F50s? I really want to try a pair. Do you have any other pairs of headsets?" He was also fascinated about my little brother's toy Minecraft iron sword that he had left, and my collection of Lego minifigures I had collected. After about 10 minutes of him wanting me to open up my tower to look at my components and colour scheme. I politely asked him to leave, as I had plans today. He obliged and continued to ask me what I was doing later. As he left, he told me that he didn't mean to tell me about his sister and that he was joking. Luckily, the kid left, and I proceeded to ask him on Steam later to not visit me again, which he said was fine. This whole expedition is over, and the kid hasn't messaged me in months. I waited this long to post because I assumed he would attempt a similar move, but he hasn't. Number 2. So I live in a not-so-quiet neighbourhood, which is filled with derelicts, such as methamphetamine users and undomesticated alcohol tasters. And this is an issue, but I have lived here most of my life, so I am not fazed as to walk late at night, which I am required to do because of my working conditions. I'm a cleaner at a local mall without a car. I'm walking back from the mall after finishing at work, and everything has been fine for the most part today. I got to even take some nearing expiration date food back with me, and nobody has been hassling me today. As I get to the corner of my street and pass by a house which seemed abandoned for the longest time I have observed, I noticed a lot of lights inside and out are lit up, and that queerly moving shadows are flicking back and forth between the curtains of the house front. I say queerly because the movement seemed to determine and mechanical, that it could only belong to some sort of automated machine, but I watched it for so long that I got the impression that it seemed more like a larger set person pacing back and forth. So, as stupid as I am, I decided to go and check out whatever the fuck was going on inside. I remember getting to the window and feeling so sure that I was spotted out as the pacing shadow had suddenly stopped, and I could make out quite visibly that a face was peeking out of the curtains. But it turned out to be quite coincidental, as a truck had just rocked up to the roadside of the house. Just my luck. A beefy-set man sauntered out of the truck and into the house, mumbling something like, "He's double-grounded. He is definitely double-grounded." I didn't think much of this at the time, as I was so panicked that I could have been caught, but it doesn't make sense later. I decided that I had enough excitement for one day and headed back home. The next day, I believe I was in my usual routine of waking up, watching, or reading my usual book or show in bed, and had noticed some weird, almost white noise of crunching and creaking outside. I remember that I brushed it off as wind affected my house with creaks a lot, and the crunching could have been because of the rotting wooden balcony outside. Out of nowhere, I suddenly hear a bellowing voice shouting, "Nicholas, get home, or you're double, triple grounded." And after this, I remember feeling a good sense of dread and fight or flight, because the particular white noise had suddenly stopped. I heard loud lumbering shuffling mixed with anguished exhalations from directly on the other side of the wall, which my bed is pushed next to. I slowly crept into my own kitchen, making sure not to be visible through the windows of my house, and grabbed my bulky security torch, to use as a blunt force weapon if needed be, and a kitchen knife. I sneaked towards the back door, which leads directly to the wall on the other side of my bedroom. After a long time of psyching myself up, I bust through my back door and ran to outside the wall of my bedroom. I didn't find anybody, but what I did find was perhaps even more disturbing. A dozen or so empty potato chip packets littered about, and a KFC meal variety bucket, almost devoid of content, aside from what looked to be chicken wing bones. I don't know what to make of this, Besides, somebody was watching me through my window all night whilst enjoying a meal. Now, this would lead me to ask, has this happened before? Is this frequent? If whoever left this here was keen enough to bring a full meal, does this mean that he is indeed a frequent occurrence, as they are confident enough to bring such a light feast? I'm not sure as to what to do, and I am a little distraught, to be honest. Number 3. Firstly, I'm sorry if my English is bad. It's not my native language. One night, I stayed at my campus until late at night. It was about 1 a.m. in the morning that I decided to go home. On the front gate of my campus, there was no public transport left, so I had to take the one which is rather far, and I needed to walk for 10 minutes before I get there. The path which I had to take has no streetlights, so it was dark. In the middle of my way, I met a woman who I knew about. She lived near my boarding house. I once saw her at some cafe near my boarding house, and I saw her come out from the house in front of my boarding house the other morning. It seemed that we were going the same way, and I didn't really think much about it at first. Then, she looked over her shoulder, and she walked faster than before. The next thing I know, I was left alone there. After I finally arrived at the main big street, there was a bus parked at the side of the street, waiting for passengers. That's how it works here in Indonesia. As soon as I got onto the bus, I noticed that the same woman as before was there in the bus too. She looked terrified when she saw me, and then she changed her seat, far from mine. I then realised that she thought of me as a stalker. It was funny for me until I realised that I would get off the bus together with her, and she might really think that I stalk her for real. I was confused. What should I do? Should I talk to her and say, "Hey, I might be big and scary, but I'm just a normal college boy who lives in the boarding house near your house"? But that would be awkward, so I decided not to. Finally, I got off the bus, and yes, she gets off there too. My boarding house is located in a private housing complex. To get there, I should walk in a small alley first. That night, the alley was very dark, and that woman was running in a hurry towards the alley because she thought that I was after her. I walked slowly, thinking that if she didn't see me right behind her, she might feel safe and let it all go off this. I was very wrong, because just when I was about to go into the housing complex, there she was, looking terrified, and started screaming at me. I really don't know what to do, so I just approached her and told her to calm down. I was going to explain everything when she took out a kitchen knife from her bag. The situation intensifies. I jumped back and told her I am not a stalker. She didn't believe me and approached me with the knife. I was going to run when a boy who lives in the same boarding house as mine passed us, and he knew something wasn't right, so he approached us. He told the woman that I lived in the boarding house. I then apologised to her, but she was still upset and left us there, still looking at us with her judging eyes when she walked out there. I made sure she was already far from me when I finally thanked the guy who saved me and told him all of it. He laughed at me, but I couldn't. I just had a knife swung at me. It scared me. So yeah, the woman who lives near me, I am not a stalker, and I have no intention to stalk you whatsoever. So please, don't think about me as a bad guy who followed you home the other night. I am sorry that you were scared of me. Let's not meet again like that, and I hope you have no bad feelings about me. Number 4. I was just 18 then, attending Laura's wild birthday party at her house, where the booze flowed freely. I had a policy of only drinking what I personally pour out of a bottle or in an unopened can. I was normally so very careful. Towards the middle of the party, I was introduced to Eric, a friend of a friend's. After a few jokes, he said, "I could really use some coffee right now." Then he proceeded to reach into his bag and pulled out a sachet of instant coffee and a bottle of Nutella. I was intrigued. He went into the kitchen and came back with a steaming mug. I swear to God, the smell of Nutella coffee was heavenly. So heavenly that I forgot to be careful. He watched me for a moment, then he insisted that I take it. It didn't take much convincing from him. I thanked him and I drank the coffee happily. 20 minutes later, I started feeling really sleepy. It was odd, since caffeine tends to get me hyper and gives me insomnia. I shouldn't have been sleepy. Eric was still chatting with me, but I was finding it harder and harder to focus. I made a move for the loo, and he stood to help me. I stumbled into Laura as we made our way out of the living room. Just at that moment, I had this gut instinct that I needed to throw myself on Laura. I was barely coherent at this point, but I focused all my attention on wrapping my arms around my friend. I can't even remember what happened for the rest of the night. In the morning, I found myself sleeping on Laura's bed while she was sleeping next to me. Apparently, I clung onto her tightly, even as Eric sought to untangle me. She sensed that something was up and decided to not let him take me away. After a while, Eric left the party. Several people then told her that he had a history of preying on girls and that they were glad that he was gone. Laura basically spent the rest of the party sitting on the couch with me, hugging her and snoring away, and then she dragged me to bed with her. I am really lucky to have a friend like her. And girls, never ever drink anything at a party that you didn't pour yourself, even delicious Nutella coffee. Number 5. This just happened to me last night, and it really freaked me out. I'm an 18-year-old female, and I work as a floor associate at a thrift shop. I was working my usual 2:30 to 11 p.m. shift, along with my supervisor. It was around 8 p.m, and since it was a Friday, we were pretty packed. Where I work, we have a court-ordered community service workers, and one of the coolest ones we've ever had happened to be getting his hours in at that time. I was super busy, focusing on just doing my work, when Jack came up to me and mumbled, "That dude smells like he has a lot of cats." I looked to my left, where Ken, my supervisor, was standing, and there was an older dude wearing a trench coat and sweatpants, standing really close to Ken, and talking to him in a really quiet tone. He was about 6 feet tall, and he looked really dirty. As Jack and I were laughing amongst ourselves about it, the old dude came up to me and got really close to my face. I'm talking 4 or 5 inches away, and started talking to me super quietly. Jack was right. He smelled like straight up piss. "Hi, your hair is so pretty." The fucker started touching my hair. Jack noticed and joked, "Hey, is my hair pretty? We kind of have the same hair colour." I'm so thankful he noticed that I was uncomfortable. Sadly, the creepo dude didn't pay him any attention. I kind of swatted his hand away from me, but he didn't get the picture. He went on and told me about how he used to have a girlfriend who looked just like me. She apparently also helped beat up a little black kid. He told me the story like he was proud, and he also kept using racial slurs, which made me angry. My face began to get red and I got really shaky, because as he was telling me his horrible story, I tried to inch away from him. He kept grabbing my shoulder to pull me closer. Luckily, Jack was hovering around me the whole time, until he then went to go get the head manager, Kelly, who was basically on the other side of the store. I managed to somehow get away from this creep, but not before he got a good look at my name tag and shook my hand, telling me how nice it was to talk to me. I walked away as fast as I could and ran into Jack and Kelly. I was visibly shaking and asked Kelly if I could take a break until the dude left. Bless her soul for letting me go on to my break. After washing my hands and frantically texting my boyfriend about how panicked I was, Kelly came into the break room and promptly told me that she and the assistant manager, Scott, were going to try and kick him out. Apparently, the dude was hugging a lot of young girls from behind. After I calmed down a little, I walked towards the front of the store. Scott was walking towards the back room and pointed to the back of the store and said, "Walk that way." Creepy man remained at the front of the store for a good half hour after that, talking to people as they were checked out. For that whole time, I was busy looking over my shoulder to see if he was there. Maybe I was being super paranoid or dramatic, but I was really scared. He ended up leaving after a while, thankfully. We get a lot of weirdos at work, but for some reason, this dude scared the shit out of me.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You can also leave a comment below. All feedback, good or otherwise, is always appreciated. If you have any creepy stories of your own, or have any topics that you would like me to cover, feel free to send them in via any of my social media. You can find all links to my social media in the description below. Until next time guys, make sure you lock your doors, stay safe, and I'll see you next video.